I just got back from 5 days at Kilauea Military Camp. I'll try to describe it to you. Well, we started out in a C-47. Some of the fellas had been up over Hawaii before, but this was my first bird's eye view of the Big Island. They say Hilo Harbor is one of the most beautiful harbors in the world, and it certainly looked it from where we were sitting. Rugged is the word that describes what we were letting ourselves in for during the next 5 days. After we landed, we registered at the Special Services office in the town of Hilo. Here, all transportation and necessary paperwork was dispensed with quickly. We piled into the bus and took off for camp. The scenery along the road was swell. We were all particularly interested in the steam cracks. It was a surprising sight to see steam pouring out of the ground. From far away, it looks like a forest fire. We hardly realized that an hour had passed by when we arrived at Kilauea Military Camp. The camp is situated about 4,000 feet above sea level on the edge of the Kilauea crater, which is the largest active volcano in the world. The camp is provided for the boys by the Special Services Division, Pacific Ocean Area Command. Well, after we checked in and were assigned quarters, we were introduced to the snack bar, which was for enlisted men only. Tough to take, huh? This forced feeding between hours was all in addition to our regular chow. The KPs were Red Cross workers who made sure the fellows came and got it. They had a special ruling there that in the event a soldier gets too loaded down, he can use his mouth to carry the food. Sandwiches were tailored to the individual soldier's liking. The double Dagwood special seemed to be very popular. And all this was completely on the house. After chow, we took a look around the camp. The first building we saw was the library. It was right up to date with all the latest bestsellers. They had a hobby and craft shop there where you could do wood carving or coconut sculpture. Some of the fellas were pretty good at this kind of work. I never knew that a coconut could be dished up in so many ways. One fella there could take a piece of monkey pod wood and turn out some very attractive looking things, if you know what I mean. And as a result, they had a very interesting exhibition in the window. Let me try to give you an idea of what goes on during a typical day at Kilauea. The soldiers must be strictly on the ball at all times. And the ball, in one form or another, is the object which is used for a lot of activities in this camp. Some of the fellows played a game called bocce, an outdoor bowling game which got to be very popular. Later on, we smacked the ball back and forth over the net with a fast game of volleyball. The girls were pretty good, too. The inhabitants of Brooklyn get very hopped up about baseball. We played softball because they wanted as few casualties as possible, although it did get a little rough and tumble sliding into those bases. But the lady umpire kept everything nicely under control. The tennis courts there were really first class, and the brand of tennis was okay. Let me tell you, those girls provided real competition. Right next to the camp was a golf course where we could play for a very nominal fee. I didn't play myself, but it was fun watching those mixed foursomes hole out on the 18th green. KMC is famous for its stables. These are cavalry horses which have been secured for the camp by Special Services, and there were enough to go around. After saddling up, we started out on a long trek. We rode for 3/4 of an hour along twisting roads winding through beautiful scenic country. We landed at a place where we could see what looked like one of the biggest natural foxholes in the world, the fire pit of Kilauea. It was at this spot in 1824 that a daughter of a big chief in the island ate some sacred berries in defiance of the existing religion of the time. She was supposed to die, but didn't, so it all turned out okay. Anyway, it was quite a hole, 750 feet deep. There was a choice of several hikes. The first one was through the fern forest. Those ferns were the biggest things I had ever seen. Some of them were 40 feet high, and they spread away on either side of our trail to form thick jungle. Then the trail led us to the Thurston lava tube, which is a dark tunnel going through the earth. It was about 150 yards long and very, very dark inside. One of the roughest activities in camp was the afternoon bivouac. This was too far to go by foot, so we took bicycles. After 2 miles of back-breaking pedaling along shaded highways, we knocked off for chow. I've had all kinds of rations, but when you have to get out in the sun and cook your own hamburgers, brother, you can bet me you're roughing it. Eating didn't mean anything except simply a means of keeping body and soul together. Those lady KPs were there to see that you did just that. We had to get a little rest also. Now, cigar smoking was not compulsory, but was optional with special application. Many of us assumed the prone position in this fashion, but after a brief 2 hours rest, we limbered up by trying to make a pyramid. But suddenly, the whole thing collapsed. When we returned that afternoon, we fired a new weapon, the bow and arrow. They were very hard to handle, but those Red Cross girls could really wang those arrows right into the bullseye. Evening brought us little rest, because after chow, all kinds of violent conditioning activities continued. Many of us were back to the bouncing ball again. Only this time it was ping pong. Then after that, we went to the demonstration area in the pool parlor and watched an exhibition of correct form in the use of the cue. You know that saying that music hath charms? Well, it had charms all right, because the next thing you knew, you were getting another workout. This sidestepping and hopping about is supposed to make the GI quick on his feet. And believe me, you had to be quick on your feet to keep up with the brand of jive they dished out. It's amazing where we got the strength to keep it up. Next, we moved into the barber shop for a little rhythmic breathing.
I've been working on the railroad all the livelong day. I've been working on the railroad just to pass the time away.
How Rex ever got the idea that this was a lullaby is more than I can figure out.
Rise up so early in the
Can you imagine 5 days of this? I hope you're getting a faint idea of what we went through. Saturday, they sprung our final orientation on us, the hula hula dance. This troupe was a regular Saturday night feature at the camp. They were very good at giving us the island's legends and customs through the medium of their native dances and music. We headed for the last roundup with a hayride. Our streamliner was the Moonlight Express. And little doggy Rex tagged along as usual. But this time it was goodbye. Best regards, Mike. P.S. If you ever get the opportunity, don't miss the 5-day trip to Kilauea Military Camp. See your first sergeant or company commander for details.